Welcome back on Your Money on Market Sense. While we may have seen how horribly wrong buying into a franchise can go, this does not mean that this form of business is necessarily bad. In fact, in 2018, the industry contributed 13.4% to gross domestic product. And did you know that 54% of consumer spending is actually spent on franchising? Jeremy Leng is with business partners, and they understand the industry better and can advise aspiring entrepreneurs sitting at home on how they can get involved. Jeremy, thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Those numbers actually tell me that this is a growing sector. Franchising is a growing sector. And I actually did a recount of where I spent my money. And I actually saw that this is true, that most of my money is actually spent on franchising. At what point do aspiring entrepreneurs now find themselves in such harrowing winds and waters?
Yeah, I think even the latest results strengthens your argument even more, are now contributing, according to the Franchise Association of South Africa, up to 15% to the country's GDP, which is actually significant. Often an undervalued industry as we see it in the greater economy, some 45,000 franchisees and employing about 370,000 people, so very, very significant in the greater context of our economy. Those wanting to get involved really has to do their homework.
Yeah.
That's very important, not just from a business profitability point of view, but also from a personality fit point of view. So understand yourself, understand who you are. If you're not customer facing, if you're not that kind of person, should you really be in a fast food environment or a restaurant environment? Those are the sorts of things to take into account. Franchisors should make information very available for you, right up to financial strength of the franchisor, availability of contact information, to speaking to other franchisees, finding out how they experience the franchise itself.
Yeah.
Is the franchisor sticking to their obligations in terms of a very important document, which is the franchise agreement, which spells out the rights and obligations of both parties, both the franchisee and franchisor. So homework absolutely key, and also industry, where your technical skill set is complementary of that industry. So do you know the industry? Have you worked in the industry before?
Yeah.
This is a very important principle, because you can ill afford as a franchisee to make mistakes that you can't recover from. So those are some of the important things to do before considering whether you want to enter into franchise.
We have two entrepreneurs who are relatively very, they're well versed in doing this. Wayne was running a B&B before this. A guest house before this, and it was pretty successful. Having heard both of their stories, what do you make of how perhaps this company Gold Brands, impacted on where they sit today?
Yeah, I think, and I don't know the extent of the due diligence and homework they did before you entered into the franchise, but as I've mentioned, franchisors need to be interrogated as well before you enter into that franchise arrangement, including speaking to other franchises. I know in Gold Brands particular, it went through a very aggressive expansion phase, and it was kind of the franchise to get at one stage. So maybe it was during that period, but I think financial strength, reputation, credibility, support and training, and getting independent evidence to support it, that is strong. Of course, it is only a snapshot in a point in time. You can't always foresee how things will unpack into the future. But really doing your homework is critical, and getting independent sources of evidence, even from other franchisees, of course, also very important.
Yeah, I know that Lindy has gone on straight and has opened her bakery in the heart of Orange Farm, if I'm not mistaken. And you are actually even considering expanding that bakery and letting it out and being a franchisor yourself. So how would you make the experience different from people who are interacting with you, so that they don't find themselves where you found yourself with this certain company?
For me personally, I would say the franchise agreement must be transparent and must able to explain everything to the franchisees. But more importantly, the cost.
Yeah.
The cost is the most important thing for me. That you don't charge people like the royalties, the marketing fees, these fees and that fees, because those are the things that add up to to a franchisee that will be not be able at the end of the day to make money. So it's just to make it as simple as possible, so these people can be able to make more money in the long run.
In the long run.
Yeah, because businesses, when we start as new businesses, the most important thing is the cash flow.
It's the cash flow.
So
yes.
you don't need to throttle the franchises with the franchise fees and the marketing
all of
fees.
that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, lady and gentlemen, we've run out of time, but I'm sure that our viewers have enjoyed and have got some sort of insight in what to look out for the next time you're thinking of going that route. And unfortunately, that's all we have time for Your Money on Market Science. And it's a wrap from us, and we say goodbye to our SABC 3 viewers. But my colleague Nzinga Kunta will be back with more news at the top of the hour. Here were the details after the break. Please do stay with us.